5 and 7 foot tall. They are dark-skinned Nubian beings, right? With brown to hazel eye color. They have black woolly hair. They have extremely large foreheads, right? Because we told you they mixed with due to the mixture with the grays. Their head was a little bit extra bigger than the normal risen. Their brains is larger than humans, like we just told you. Extremely forehead. They're extremely intelligent. They're originally hybrids. They live in advanced cave systems between 5 and 40 miles under the ground. Right? The Nalco use most of their brain. They speak the Rizian language and they are telepathic. Also, they speak the telepathic symbol language, which I told you the Greys. Might get that class on the Greys. Because we told you about the language that they speak, losing the symbols. And these beings are telepathic. They use more of their brain than humans, or they use all their brain, and they can absorb information faster than humans. It would take a Nalco being 10 minutes or less to read a book the size of a Bible, right? They live, and these beings live a long time. One day to them, as long as they stay in the center of the earth, one day to them is like 1,000 years, right? And these beings are vegetarians, and they have 3 natures, right? Disagreeable, agreeable, and neutral. But the beings that are here are the good beings, the benevolent beings. These Nalco beings can hear extremely well. The reason why we brought these beings to Earth, because you gotta understand, your Earth, right, is hollow, or like 2 bowls, or like 2 empty bowls being put together. There's also a world on the center of your planet, right? It's called Shamballah. It has high-tech cities made of advanced plastic, a red, a blue, and a yellow city. Also, the capital city, right, in Shamballah, which is called Rainbow City, right? It has lakes, rivers, seas, ponds, and fishes that are usually small on the surface, but they're much larger down here in the center. The average size fish can get up to 5 times bigger than its normal size in the center. Some of these fishes were thought to be extinct, such as 1,000,000-year-old piranhas, right? Some of these fish glow in the dark underwater and are transparent, meaning see-through. These fish are somewhat more intelligent than the ones found on the surface. You also can see birds, which are thought to be extinct for millions of years, right? They live in the center of the earth. They also had glow-in-the-dark woodpeckers and other birds, and hundreds of waterfalls, huge waterfalls. It has 6 to 7 alien bases where ships can land. It has trees. Alien bases where ships can land. It has trees that are extremely tall with long vines. It has lizards the size of dogs and turtles the size of Volkswagen, like the tortoise, huge, large tortoises, which is thought to be extinct. A lot of the animals look larger than usual, like the animals on surface. Animals like the mammal elephant and the T-Rex, which is thought to be extinct, live in the center of the earth. It has mountains, right, taller than the mountains on the outside of the earth, on the surface, right? It has one mountain called Crystal Mountain, which is a mountain made out of solid crystal, right, which is 9 stories high. A mountain that's 9 stories high made out of crystal, brothers and sisters, right? And it's beautiful land, tropical, different type of plants that are live, like man-eating plants, right? Plants that eat bugs and shit will probably eat your ass if you go down there jacking around and don't know what's going on, right? See what I'm saying? There's a lot going on right here that's being, that we're bringing before you so you can get an idea of what's going on here, right? In the center of your earth, right? Because they taught you all through school about a core, a crust, a mantle, which is all bullshit, right? We're going to get straight down to it and teach you the truth. You have a center city, a center world, right? In beneath your world, right? There are several entries where you can go into the underworld, right? One of the places you can enter is under one of the pyramids in Giza. And as a matter of fact, there are 7 more planets in your solar system that is similar. With having a hole on the top, like Jupiter has a hole on the top. Mars has a hole at the top and the bottom, right? Venus, Mercury, because we told you that most of the people in the galaxy live on the center of their planet, okay? A being by the name of Admiral Byrd flew his plane to the top of the hole in 1947, and he said he thought he was flying over South Florida, or South Africa, or Hawaii, or Bahamas or somewhere. The place he was flying over looked like tropical, right? So he thought he was flying over Florida or somewhere. Admiral Byrd flew back, told his people what they had found, and about his findings, about flying into this hole he saw at the top of the planet. NASA, when they show you a picture, they show it airbrushed out with clouds, with fake clouds. But it's really a hole at the top of your planet that extraterrestrials fly into to enter and go to Shamballah. They've been teaching you the whole time about 7 continents, and it's really like about 7 continents, and it's really like 10 continents, right? Because it got the 2 side pieces and the big continent in the middle, right? A whole center world. And Admiral Byrd came back and told the secret government his findings. They called him to get a team together, and they called it Project High Jump. And Admiral Byrd got a team together. They went back down in there and really investigated, right? And he came back and pretty much told them what I just told you about the center of the earth. And they confiscated all his logs, his plane, had most of the guys that went with him killed, the ones that thought was taught. And they had Admiral Byrd killed, right? To shut him up about this, because they don't want you to know and don't want your brain to expand and know that it's a world beneath you that's been going on way before you been going on the surface. Because now man begins to multiply on the surface of the earth. That's how it reads. And the Secret Service Majestic 12 show got a way of shutting you up, right? Because they shut Admiral Byrd up, and then they turn around and shut one of their own leaders up, right? Because James Forrester, who was the leader of the real Man in Black, called him Majestic 12, mysteriously jumped out of his hospital window to his death. And a little bit more investigation was took on the situation, and they saw that it was scratches on the window, meaning that he tried to hold himself in, meaning some being threw him out the window. So you see where is this shit going, right? Being by the name of Phil Schneider, right, who was killed eventually, but it was many attempts made on his life. He tried to come out and talk about certain things, right? Which we probably share with you here tonight. Some of the things that Phil Schneider talked about before he was mysteriously killed by these beings who try to keep this information secret.
Something crashed in the backyard in New Mexico, a place called Roswell, New Mexico. Unfortunately, that's what the public's been told. The military's known about the alien question for the better part of 70 years, and they first saw their glimpse of what was going on as early as 1909. First of all information dealing with alien or alien reproduced technology or alien reproduced vehicles or any other kinds of things well hidden from the American public. Right now there are 131 active deep underground military bases in the United States. There's 1,477 of them worldwide. My colleague Al Bielek has actually been on some of the high-speed railways, the magneto-leviton trains that connect all the deep underground military bases within the United States. He's been on a Mach 2 train, and
the air tastes a little bit like sulfur due to the center sun, 600-mile sun emitting radiation, causing the elders to have to move within the crust and high-tech advanced cave system. In Rainbow City, that has a temple where we Rizians, right, in the capital, in the temple, the Golden Temple, right, build a supercomputer called Mech, which we put these beings, these Nanaco beings, we left these beings, which was our hybrid children, in charge of it to maintain this computer. Beings who existed before your time, right? And we're gonna get into it, right? And talk about the temple in Rainbow City, right, where the supercomputer is located, right? overstand the supercomputer that we built in the center of your planet, right? Over 2 million years ago, right? We called it Mech, right? Which is where Bill Gates stole Macintosh from, right? Right? I'm getting ready to make your forehead expand, okay? Because one comes out of a terabyte, right? You have a petabyte, an exabyte, a zettabyte, then a yettabyte, right? And this computer deals in yettabytes, right? Because the smallest unit is a kilobyte, then you have megabyte, then you have gigabyte, right? And you have 4 gigabytes, right, on your phone, and you think you're doing something, right? That is absolutely slow. Because after gigabytes, you go into terabytes, which is what your military is using now. And their internet is working extremely fast while you're using the gigabyte. Then you have, like I say, what comes out the terabyte? Petabyte, exabyte, zettabyte, yettabyte, yottabyte. And yottabyte is utilized by the supercomputer, which is located in the center of your planet, right? That's a lot of space if you got a hard drive with a terabyte on it, right? Well, these crystals, right? These crystals deal around in yottabytes, which is 4 levels higher than a terabyte. So understand what a yottabyte is, right? About to get into it, right? Because we're dealing with a yottabyte, which is an unlimited amount of space, because you can save 100 yottabytes worth of information on 1 carat crystal, right? You can save 100 yottabytes. Now imagine how much space that is that you can save on a 1 carat crystal. This computer has a hard drive database server center that is 15 square miles in length, right? In order to understand some of the inner workings of this computer, this supercomputer, you must first understand some simple things of how computers work here on the surface. In the matrix, you have 0. There are several entrances to the underworld. One at the top at the North Pole, and a small entrance at the South Pole in the middle of the ice, right? Through an ice lake, right? Which is an endless lake. Once you go into this lake, right, and drive to the bottom of this lake, you come out of an ocean, which is the ocean in the center of the earth, right? It's an opening at the South Pole to the center of the world, right? So there's entrances to the interworld, right? Through Brazil, right? In the mountains in Kentucky, in the pyramids in Giza, right? In the mountain in Italy, and they have dug a passage under the Roman Catholic Church in the Vatican, right? So there are different entrances. The main entrance is to the top, through the North Pole, right? And these beings, they know about the hole, right? And these beings, they know about the hole, right? Beings are shot down. They got a no-fly zone over this hole, and beings are shot down from flying over this hole, right? By the government, right? Extraterrestrial beings and regular citizens who try to fly over the hole, right? Because they know, and they're trying to keep it a secret. As it is above, so is it below. We planted vegetation on the surface, and we planted the same vegetation on the inside as well. So the same fruits and vegetables that you have on the surface, they grow also in the center of your planet. Due to reverse polarity and the gravity being 1/3 less of that on the surface, the plants seem to grow extremely large due to the air being a lot cleaner than the air on the surface, and the water being a lot purer, and the soil being not tainted. The vegetables and fruits in the earth grow extremely large. Strawberries are said to be large as a watermelon. Cherries and things like this are said to get large as a basketball. If they're never plucked, the more they grow, the bigger they get. In the forest, the mushroom forest, the mushrooms can get up to 40 feet tall. They're millions of years old. See what I'm saying? These plants are millions of years old, and they never die, these plants, because there's no night in the center of the planet. We're about to get into that. So the lifespan of the beings who choose to live inside of the planet, one day to them is like 1,000 years. Being that the planet is not rotating around anything, and that there's no night, it is always day. Also, insects and other animals that are found on the surface grow extremely large. Also, animals that are said to be extinct, such as the T-Rex and the pterodactyl, and Leviathan sea creatures who are very huge, who were thought to be extinct, and the elephant woolly mammal, right, still live today in the center of the planet. And they made several movies about this thing called Journey to the Center of the Earth, because they know and they were told by certain extraterrestrial beings to reveal this knowledge to you, and they said they have by way of movies which are designed to move you and me, which they label as science fiction, simply putting it as science that is fake. As we said, there's a huge ocean. In 1937, a woman by the name of Amelia Earhart, who was a pilot, right, breaking records all around the world, flew her plane into the Pacific Ocean in the Dragon Triangle, and she came up missing. 2 years later, she was pronounced dead. Later on, a being by the name of Billy Woodrick said that he visited the intercity, right, called Shamballah, and he sees Amelia Earhart there, and she have grown to up to 10 feet tall, right? Because the people in the center of the planet get very tall due to the gravity being only 1/3 versus the surface of the planet, right? We'll get to that. But Amelia Earhart was one of the first pilots from the surface to fly and get pulled up into the vortex, right, in the opening to the center of the earth when she went through the Devil's Triangle and the vortex was open. Okay? Also, Flight 19, where they flew through the Bermuda Triangle and 14 pilots came up missing. They disappeared into the vortex. Billy Woodrick said that he seen these beings as well. This happened in 1945, right? December 5th, 1945, these beings flew over the Bermuda Triangle and disappeared. 14 pilots, right? Flight out and went to a gold temple that was shaped like a pyramid, where he met with the leaders of the center of the planet. He said that there were many different races there, extraterrestrial. He said he saw frugaloids, Sasquatches, Greys, reptilians, frugaloid mixes, which were frugaloids with different colors, such as the theologians, which the being Billy Woodrick is a member of, right? Of his daddy is a member of this frugaloid mix, who mix with the beings from Mars, who range in different colors and can range from between 10 to 13 feet tall. So all these different races was in there, and he said that he met with the head of all these beings, and there was a master that was over all of them. He was dark with an extremely large head. The being that he was referring to is the leader of the Nako people, who goes by the name of Rabboni Fieldcorp. He said they referred to him as the master of all masters, the supreme one. He said he had an ancient look on his face, ancient wisdom look on his face, like he had been living for millions and billions of years and for eternal life. And the being that he was referring to is the leader of the Danako called Fieldcorp, who is the leader of the center of the planet. It left these beings in charge of the supercomputer, which we talk about in Galactic 15. The Frugaloid were created by way of Yaku, drafting them out of the Hindu beings who came from the planet Nevada. He said that he's seen those beings there too. The Sasquatch being are beings who came from the Sirius star system. The Darwins are the little beings who we talk about in Galactic 16. They live in the center of the planet as well, and he said that he's seen those beings there too. Also, the Greys, which we talk about on the Greys Class 1 and Class 2 were there, and the Reptilians, who we talk about in Galactic Family of Life Class 7 were present. Like he said, he sat down with the leader, which was the being with the biggest, extremely large head, whose name was Fieldcorp. And the message was, tell the humans to stop using nuclear or atomic weapons, because they crack the surface of the earth, they can cause a star holocaust. And why can we all just get along in peace? He wanted Admiral Byrd to go back and tell the government to lay down their weapons. This is recorded in the Admiral Byrd diary. And there are many cities in the underworld of Agharta right? Many advanced cities set up by different beings that came from other star systems or even beings from other planets, like the beings from Mars who came here millions of years ago, right? And set up the advanced plastic cities. Like you got the red city, you got the blue city, and the yellow city. These cities were built by beings from Mars who came here millions of years ago in the center of the earth, right? Then you also have Rainbow City, right? Which is a city located at the South Pole, right, on the right-hand side. You see at the bottom right there? The wheel, they shot one of these planes that come from the center of the earth down, and they got one or two of them at the Area 51, which they have tried to reimburse engineers, but they can't figure out the engine, so they use nuclear engines and created their own UFOs. And they got about around 60 to 80 of these crafts that they created because they've been kidnapping these kids every year, right? A certain amount of kids, and taking them to Los Alamos, where they do the crossbreeding it, right? And crossbreeding these kids with grays. The Illuminati have been making their own aliens, right? So they can fly these crafts that they got at Area 51, so they can stage an alien invasion, right? So that you will submit to the aliens to do this New World Order thing. See, this thing is deep. This thing is deep, brother. Trying to stage alien invasion using kids that they crossbreeded with grays and the alien crafts that they reverse engineered and put the nuclear powered engines on them. They're gonna try to stage a damn alien invasion, man. This shit is deep. So Hitler had already had his UFOs put together, getting his information from Ashtar Command. See what I'm saying? So there's a base for UFOs right down in the center. We're showing you on the map, right? As well, the Derus don't come to the center because they exile from the center into the cave system. They've been exiled to their cave, right? But the Derus managed to break into the inner world sometime and steal some of the UFOs, right? They get some from the government in exchange for technology, which the government shot down, right? And their cave is located on the right-hand side down to the low. You can see their cave system located right there, right? And the Derus we talk about in Galactic 17. You want to get more information on them, just refer back to Galactic 17, okay? So there's a difference between the center world and the inner world. The inner world is where the advanced cave systems is set up in this 800-mile slab that we lay, right? So many beings have carved their different cave systems out, right? Under different mountains and under different cities. So there are many underground cities that extraterrestrials live in under the 800-mile pavement that we laid, right? As well, your government, just about every base, major military base is underground and connected via train, levitating train system, right? They go about Mark 5 underground, which Phil Snyder talks about in the tapes that he put out before they had him killed. Right. Also, the government, the elite, have set up cities underground as well. They build these cities magnetic grid of the earth. So they have free energy trains underground. They can travel anywhere between 4,000 to light speed underground. Because the main station is down in Shamballah. And how these people that live on these different cabins all over the inner earth, they travel by these underground trains called the worm, right? The worm trains, which can turn in 90-degree angles and 45-degree angles, right? Without breaking or bending, right? And they travel through these tubes, right? And Billy Woodrick talks about it too, talks about that, right? On one of his tapes, right? So the elite have created their own underground cities, and they are connected by these tunnels, right? Just in case a major event happened on the earth, they'll have a place to retreat to still keep the government intact, right? Because they had three alternatives. The first alternative was genocide and population control to wipe out the indigenous people of the land. But this didn't work because for every one that they killed, a new replaced them with 7. So that plan was out. Their second alternative was to go underground. And they went underground and started digging and ran into the graves. They ran into the doors and other beings who were already living underground, right? So that was out. They said, oh, we're gonna get the hell out of here, right? Niggas are everywhere, right? So they went to the moon, found out there was people there. Tried to go to Venus, found out there was people there. Tried to go to Mars, found out there was people already there. So they like, oh man, what can we do? What are we gonna do? So they sold to the reptilian. And now the reptilians have killed most of them and replaced them with robotoids and synthetics, which is controlling your government right now today. Robotoids and synthetics. Don't believe me, just watch the TV. And watch how many times when you see a being that's blinking a lot, is he talking? A being that blinks 100 times in 3 seconds. It's a damn robotoid synthetic. Okay? So just want to point those things out to you. So they have built many underground bases, Los Alamos and Neal Air Force Base, which is Area 51, where they house some of the ships about a couple miles down the road, a base called Groom Lake S4, which is controlled by the new Majestic 12. They have 2 sets of 12 that you see, and they have 1 set of 12 you don't see. So it's really 36 of them, which I feel sorry for, because the only way out of their situation is death. So we just want to get you to understand that there's a big difference between the inner world and the center world. The inner world are beings who live in advanced cave systems, such as the Teru, who are the cone heads, right? We talk about them on 17 and a couple other tapes. We might go ahead and do a whole tape on the cone head, right? So you can get a better understanding of this. In the center of the planet, their houses is built around Mother Nature. They don't affect Mother Nature. They don't poke her